She bought his freedom with a marriage contract. He bought her empire with a heartbeat. The auction hall hummed like a dying star, all metal, heat, and unsaid cruelty. Beneath the glass dome, 20 species watched the last lot shiver in her containment field. Pale blue skin, silver eyes that refused to lower. The tag on her collar blinked unclaimed. The auctioneer's voice was honey over rust. Lot 47. Unbonded, untested, illegal by 3 accords. Starting at 0, said a human voice from the shadows. Heads turned. A ripple through the crowd. Humans didn't bid here. They bought planets, not people. But he stepped forward anyway. Tall, scarred, ex-military by the way his boots hit metal. The badge on his coat caught light. Commander Ryan Holt, Terran Vanguard, retired. She looked up then, slow as rebellion. "You can't afford me," she said, voice a shimmer between laughter and threat. "Didn't plan to pay," Ryan answered. A silence stretched, electric. Then the auctioneer smiled too wide. "A challenge claim? Dangerous ground, Commander. The bond clause is—" "Mutual, I know." He flicked his ID across the scanner. "Activate the contract." A thin red line of light connected them, her cell dissolving, his wrist bleeding digital ink as the bond etched into his skin. The room gasped. He'd just signed his life, credit, and command rights over to a creature humanity had classified cognitively incompatible. "Why?" she whispered, stepping free, the force field's residue clinging like heat to her skin. He shrugged, eyes steady. "You looked bored." The laughter that followed was nervous, brittle. Security drones buzzed overhead, scanning for violations, but the contract was valid. Under Interstellar Law 9b, a bonded pair was untouchable until annulment or death. She stopped an inch from him, voice softer. "You don't even know my name." "Don't need to," he said. "Dear, you're under my protection now." Her smile was like a blade. "You sure it's not the other way around?" Behind them the auction lights flickered. Storm warning. The dome trembled as the first tremor hit, a low hum that rattled the glass. Someone cursed about the ion front rolling in early. She tilted her head, sensing it before the alarm screamed. "You should leave." "Contract says I stay." "Then you'll die." He grinned. "Probably." The next flash tore through the dome like a god's exhale. Plasma lightning arced across the ceiling, shattering panels. Chaos bloomed. Screams, smoke, static. Ryan caught her wrist, dragging her toward the exit chute. "Name," he shouted over the alarms. "Lyra," she gasped. "Call me Lyra." They dove through a collapsing corridor as the storm ripped the auction apart. Debris sang against metal. He pushed her behind a fallen beam, shielding her body with his own. The contact was instant, electric, the bond responding like a living pulse. Her breath hitched. "You feel that too?" "Yeah," he said, grim. "Guess the contract's not just ink." The storm outside roared louder, eating the sky. The vault alarms began to cycle, sealing exits. She met his eyes, something unspoken sparking there. Amusement, maybe pity. "You don't know what you've done, human." "Story of my life." He wiped blood from his jaw and nodded toward the stairwell. "Move. We're not dying in someone else's market." As they ran, her voice followed him, half mocking, half true. "You signed for me, Ryan Holt. That means when I burn, you burn too. Then we better run fast." They plunged deeper into the storm-lit corridors, chased by collapsing glass and the scent of ozone. Somewhere above, the auction dome exploded into light, and beneath the thunder, the bond in their skin began to hum. Not pain, not command, something older, something alive. The world outside disintegrated into thunder. Lightning wrapped the horizon, white veins pulsing through the iron clouds. Ryan slammed the vault door shut, sealing them in darkness and recycled air. The lock hissed, metal screaming as atmosphere pressure equalized. Lyra stood still, glow from her skin faint as bioluminescent frost. "This place isn't safe," she murmured. "Storms like this rewrite matter." "Good thing we're not matter," Ryan said, forcing a grin. "We're trouble." She looked at him, half exasperated, half curious. "Humans joke at the edge of death. Why?" "Because if we stop laughing, we start thinking," he said, checking the console. "Power at 40%. Atmosphere shield stable, for now." The vault vibrated with the storm's rage. A faint hum threaded the air, matching the pulse that beat between their wrists where the bond mark glowed faintly crimson. Ryan tried to ignore it, but the more he tried, the louder it sang. Lyra leaned closer, studying the mark. Our neural signatures are syncing. Translation? Your thoughts are louder than you realize. He froze. You can hear me? Only when you think too hard. She smiled, dangerous and soft. Like right now. He stepped back, heat crawling up his neck. Stay out of my head. I'm trying, she said with a wicked glint. You keep shouting. The silence stretched again, charged. Outside, the storm hammered the vault walls, making them hum like a living thing. Rian moved to the emergency cache, pulling out rations and a med kit. You're injured. It's not blood, she said, glancing at the faint silver smear on her arm. It's energy discharge. My body converts plasma. Right, of course it does. He tore open a med patch anyway. Humor me. She watched as he pressed the patch over her skin. The moment his fingers brushed her, the bond flared. Heat shot up his arm. Her pupils widened. Don't, she whispered. The link reacts to touch. He didn't move. Then why does it feel like it's breathing? Because it's learning us. The vault lights flickered. Systems sputtered. A warning alarm pulsed red. Ion surge imminent. Lyra's head snapped up. We have to anchor the core before the next wave. I thought this place was shielded. It is, for humans. My presence changes the equations. Meaning? I'm a storm catalyst. Ryan stared. You're saying you're making this worse. She smiled faintly. Only for everyone else. They sprinted to the core chamber, boots clanging on metal. Static crawled along the walls. Every step closer, the air thickened with charge. She moved like she belonged to the lightning, graceful, fearless. Hold this conduit, she ordered. When I tell you, reroute the flux to port 3. You sure you know what you're doing? Mostly. Mostly? She glanced at him, eyes bright. You'll live if you trust me. He laughed, despite himself. You sound like every bad idea I ever followed. She closed her hands over the control orb. Light burst from her palms, pouring through the circuitry like liquid fire. The vault trembled, walls sweating sparks. Ryan grabbed the conduit and felt the current bite his fingers. Now! She shouted. He threw the switch. Energy roared through the floor, blinding white. For one heartbeat he saw everything. Her silhouette in the stormlight, eyes full of galaxies, lips parted in a soundless cry. And then silence. When the light faded, the vault was intact. The storm outside had calmed to a low, rhythmic growl. Rian exhaled, slumping against the console. Still alive? You're welcome. Lyra straightened, looking at him like he was both miracle and mistake. You shouldn't have survived that. Story of my life, he said, voice rough. Now tell me what you're really running from. Her answer was as a whisper, almost lost under the hum. Not running, hiding. The Empire wants what's inside me. A storm seed. I was grown to end worlds. He met her gaze, steady, unflinching. Then let's make sure they never get it. She studied him for a long, impossible second. You would protect me, even now? I signed the contract, he said. Might as well earn it. The bond between them pulsed once. Warm, alive, questioning. She smiled slowly, dangerously. Careful, human. The storm listens when you mean things. Outside, lightning split the horizon again, brighter, closer. And in the vault's dim light, the line between protection and desire blurred to nothing at all. The vault's hum deepened, a low animal growl that made the floor tremble. Ryan felt it in his bones first, then in the way Lyra went still, her gaze fixed on the ceiling. They found us, she whispered. He drew his sidearm, the old Terran model that had survived 4 wars and 1 betrayal. Who's they? The Empire's retrieval unit. They don't send negotiators, only collectors. The alarms began their shrill metallic chorus. The vault lights flared crimson. Lyra's glow pulsed brighter, reacting to the danger. She looked like living lightning caught in human shape. Ryan barked. How do we get out? Emergency shaft, east corridor, but it's flooded with radiation pockets. He smirked. Good thing I'm already glowing from you. Your humor is a symptom of trauma. And your sass is a symptom of bad timing. She almost smiled. Almost, before the next explosion threw them both to the floor. The ceiling cracked, raining shards of synthetic dust. Ryan grabbed her, rolling behind a crate as fire licked the walls. She pressed her palm to his chest. The bond seared and the world slowed. Her energy wrapped around him like heat. This will hurt, she said. Define hurt. She didn't answer, just pushed the current into him. His body jolted, vision fracturing into blue-white shards. He gasped, but when he blinked again, he saw through the walls, saw the incoming drones, wrote out, the pulse of the storm outside like a living artery. What did you do? Linked senses, temporary. Now you can see the way I do. It was too much, every spark, every heartbeat in the room, but it was also clarity, dangerous and addictive. He grinned through the ache. Let's move. They sprinted down the east corridor, weaving through collapsing tunnels. His augmented vision painted paths of light, where to step, where to duck. She moved in sync with him, every motion a rhythm older than thought. When a drone broke through the wall ahead, Ryan didn't think. He fired, one clean shot through its lens. It fell in a shower of sparks. Lyra glanced back at him, impressed despite herself. You shoot like you mean it. I do everything like I mean it. Her voice dropped. That might be your doom. They reached the shaft. Radiation levels screamed on the panel. Ryan forced the hatch open with a grunt. Ladies first. I'm not a lady. Didn't say you were. Said you're first. She laughed then. Quick, breathless, and utterly alive. She dropped into the shaft, plasma sparking around her as her hands slowed the fall. Rian followed, his boots sliding down metal rungs slick with condensation. Halfway down, the bond flared violently. Pain seared through both of them. Lyra gasped, nearly losing her grip. Something's wrong. The mark on her wrist burned white-hot. They're hacking the link, she choked. They're using you to track me. He bit back a curse. Cut it off. I can't. It's fused. Then block it. She turned, her eyes gone pure silver. That means I have to shut you out too. He froze. If you do that, you'll go blind to the path. Yes. Do it anyway, he said. I'll follow the sound of your voice. She hesitated only a breath. You trust too easily, human. I trust right now. There's a difference. Her hand touched his cheek. Brief, trembling. Then the bond went dark. Silence fell inside his head like a void. The world dulled. He couldn't sense her anymore. Lyra? Here, came her faint reply from below. Keep coming. I'll catch you. He climbed faster, ignoring the burn in his arms, the rumble above. Drones screamed down the tunnel, light chasing them like an executioner's blade. At the bottom, she reached up, grabbed his hand, and pulled. Together they fell the last 10 meters into a maintenance pit. The hatch above sealed shut, cutting off the noise. Only their breathing filled the dark. He reached for her, voice rough. You okay? Yes, she whispered. But the link's different now. How different? It adapted. It wants permanence. That mean what I think it means? It means, Commander Holt, you can't get rid of me. He should have laughed. Instead, something in his chest twisted. Not fear. Not entirely. The emergency lights flicked on, bathing them in red glow. Lyra's face was close. Too close. Her silver eyes softened, studying him like he was a puzzle she wanted to solve with her lips. You risked everything for a stranger, she said quietly. You're not a stranger anymore. Her breath caught. Careful, human. That sounds like a promise. Before he could answer, a new alarm blared. External pressure breach. The pit door began to open on its own, and cold night wind poured in. Above, the storm had shifted color, from blue to blood red. Lyra stared, dread flickering across her features. That's not weather. That's a ship. What kind? Empire flagship. They're here for me. He chambered a new round, jaw set. Then we make them regret the trip. The stormlight hit their faces, and for a moment they looked like gods defying the sky. The red light from the sky bathed everything in fevered color. Ryan could taste iron on the wind, the metallic tang of plasma engines powering up somewhere above the storm clouds. The Empire's flagship loomed like a floating cathedral, its shadow rippling across the ruins. Lyra's pupils contracted to esters. And they'll deploy collectors first. Fast, quiet, surgical. Then we won't give them time. Ryan checked his weapon. Half a charge left, 2 grenades, 1 heartbeat he couldn't explain. She glanced at him, voice low. You still don't understand, do you? If they take me, they win. But if I let go, if I release what's inside, I become the storm they built. He caught her wrist before she could move. You're not a weapon? Her smile was a fracture. That's exactly what I am. The sound of drones cut through the wind, smooth, predatory. Rian yanked her into cover behind a half-collapsed bulkhead. Sparks rained like fireflies. She pressed close, breathing sharp against his neck. The bond hummed, matching the rhythm of their hearts. "Stay low," he murmured. She tilted her head up, whispering against his ear. "Your pulse is too loud. They'll find us. Then maybe they'll hear what happens next." He threw a grenade into the open air. The explosion tore through the first wave of drones, shards scattering like glass confetti. Lyra laughed, wild and bright. "Humans don't fight. They improvise." He smirked. "Now you're learning." But when the smoke cleared, a figure emerged. Tall, clad in the black armor of the Imperial Ascendants. The visor reflected lightning, and when the helmet lifted, Ryan froze. "Commander Holt," the man said, voice deep and cold. "Didn't expect to find you here." Ryan's blood went cold. "Admiral Cale." Lyra's gaze darted between them. "You know him?" "Used to serve under him," Ryan said grimly, "before he sold Earth's colonies to the Empire." Kyle's eyes narrowed. "Still sentimental, I see. You always had a weakness for lost causes, and for beautiful things that destroy you." Lyra stepped forward, electricity gathering in her palms. "Say one more word, and I'll show you destruction." Cale smiled thinly. "You think the bond makes him yours? You're wrong, creature. That contract was part of the plan." Rian's jaw tightened. "What plan?" Cale raised a small control chip, glowing the same color as the mark on Rian's wrist. "You think the bond makes him yours? You're wrong, creature. That contract was part of the plan." Ryan's jaw tightened. "What plan?" Cale raised a small control chip, glowing the same color as the mark on Rian's wrist. "You think you rescued her? No, Ryan, you delivered her straight to me. That bond you signed, it's a locator. You were the bait." Lyra's breath hitched. She turned to Ryan, disbelief warring with fury. "Tell me he's lying." Rian's heart crashed against his ribs. "I didn't know." Cale stepped closer, boots crunching on shattered glass. "You always were easy to manipulate. You sign things you don't read." "Shut up," Rian growled, but guilt flared in his chest like acid. Lyra's voice cracked. "You brought them to me." "I didn't." "You did." She backed away, light building around her hands. "You doomed us both." The bond surged, reacting to her rage. The mark on his wrist burned like molten wire. He felt her power rising, pressure building until the air itself screamed. Ryan shouted, "Lyra, listen, he's twisting it! I didn't know!" But her voice had changed, low and trembling with something vast. "You didn't know is what every destroyer says before they burn the world." Lightning exploded from her body, slamming into Cale and Ryan alike. The shockwave flattened the corridor, melted steel. Rian hit the ground hard, vision white out, hearing ringing. When the world steadied, Cale was gone. Thrown clear, maybe dead, maybe not. Lyra stood above him, breathing hard, eyes gone silver white. "You should have left me at the auction." He pushed himself up, chest heaving. "You think I could have?" Her expression faltered. Pain flickered, just for a second. The storm screamed overhead. Empire troops were descending now, streaks of fire cutting through the red clouds. Ryan staggered to his feet. "You can kill me later. Right now, we run." For a moment meant she hesitated. Then something in her broke. Not forgiveness, but necessity. She grabbed his arm. "Follow me." They ran through the shattered complex, light flashing around them. Every time he stumbled, she steadied him. Every time she faltered, he pulled her forward. Between them, the bond throbbed, raw, unstable, alive. They burst out onto the surface, the storm plain stretching infinite under the bleeding sky. Lightning danced across the horizon like veins of a living world. Lyra turned, eyes burning with purpose. "There's one place they can't follow. The Veil." "The what?" "The border between storms. A dead zone. If we reach it, they lose signal, control, everything." Ryan grinned despite the pain. "Then let's make them chase ghosts." She met his gaze for a heartbeat that felt like a lifetime. "If we cross, you'll never be the same." He holstered his weapon, defiant. "Wasn't planning on it." As the Empire's ships descended and the storm rose higher, they ran together into the crimson light. Fugitives, bonded, burning. They ran until the sky forgot what color meant. The crimson bled to violet, then to a pale gray that shimmered like smoke. Each step carried them deeper into a place where sound bent, and the storm's thunder turned into whispers. Ryan slowed first. "You sure this is real?" Lyra didn't answer. The glow from her veins dimmed as though even light was hesitant to exist here. "The veil isn't a place," she murmured. "It's a threshold. It decides who crosses." He scanned the horizon. Nothing but the flicker of lightning suspended mid-air, frozen like painted fire. "You're saying it's alive?" "I'm saying it's listening." The hum between their wrists changed pitch, rising into something like a heartbeat, not quite their own. The bond felt aware, curious, testing the space. Rian reached out, fingers brushing hers. "So, what does it wait?"
"Net." Lyra looked up at him, eyes dim but fierce. "Truth." He laughed softly. "Bad day to ask for that." "No," she said, voice almost reverent. "Perfect day."
They stepped forward together. The air rippled, and for a moment Ryan felt himself disassembled, memories unspooled, the battlefield at Sirius 4, the contract he hadn't read, the ache of leaving Earth. He gasped, clutching his chest. Lyra steadied him, her touch grounding. "The veil shows what you hide. Guess it's got a lot of work to do." "Then don't fight it." He forced his eyes open. The storm had changed. The lightning formed shapes, silhouettes of people he'd lost, faces from every wrong decision. And at the center of it all, Kyle's grin. "You're not real," Ryan hissed. Kyle's echo smirked. "Neither is your redemption." He raised his weapon instinctively, but Lyra's hand pressed it down. "It's memory, not matter. You kill it by forgiving it." "I don't forgive traitors." "Then you'll die one." Her words cut sharper than shrapnel. "Easy for you to say," he snapped. "You don't have ghosts." She looked away. "You think I wasn't made from them? Every cell of me remembers a world the Empire burned." The silence that followed was thick with thunderless sound. Rian exhaled. "Then we both bleed history." Lyra stepped closer. "And maybe that's why the veil hasn't killed us yet." The bond pulsed brighter, sinking to the rhythm of their speech. A low vibration filled the ground. Ahead, the air cracked open, a wall of light splitting the horizon, pulsing like a living heartbeat. "That's it," she whispered. "The center. What happens if we reach it? We change or end. 50-50 odds. I've played worse." Her lips curved, a ghost of amusement. "You're impossible." "Human," he corrected. "We don't do impossible. We do next." They stepped closer, and reality began to disobey. Gravity faltered. The ground flickered between solid and energy. For a moment Lyra's form blurred, half woman, half storm. Rian reached out, his hand passing through her, shoulder like mist. "Lyra!" She turned, expression torn between awe and sorrow. "This is what I am. I was never meant to survive outside the storm." "You're not the storm," he said, voice breaking. "You're the eye in it." Her eyes widened. For a second, everything froze. The veil stilled, the lightning paused mid-flash. Then she grabbed his face with both hands, energy crackling against his skin. "You have no idea what you just did." "Probably not." "You named me human." The bond ignited, no longer red or blue, but white, pure, blinding, alive. Power surged between them, spiraling upward like a column of light that split the storm. The veil screamed, or maybe sang, and the frozen lightning shattered. Wind howled, dragging them forward. Lyra shouted over the chaos. "We can't hold it! It's rewriting us!" Rian pulled her close, refusing to let go. "Then let's get rewritten together!" The light swallowed them both. For one heartbeat he felt everything, her memories, her pain, the galaxies inside her blood, and beneath it all, a quiet truth. She'd been waiting for someone reckless enough to see her, not save her. When the light faded, silence reigned. They stood on the other side of the storm, sky calm, air clear. The veil behind them shimmered like a closing wound. Rian blinked. His mark had changed. No longer crimson, now white gold, matching hers. Lyra stared at her hands. "It worked. The Empire can't find us anymore." He smiled, exhausted. "Told you. We improvise." But her expression darkened. "There's more. The bond. It's different now." How different? It's permanent. We're one system. If I die... He nodded slowly. Then so do I. She looked at him. Fear, wonder, and something dangerously close to love flickering in her eyes. You still don't regret it? Not for a second. The wind whispered around them, carrying the scent of ozone and possibility. Somewhere in the distance, the first dawn broke through the ash-colored sky. Lyra's voice was almost a prayer. What are we now? He smiled faintly, human enough to find out.
For hours they walked through the quiet aftermath. The ground was glassed smooth, the air eerily still, like the world had exhaled and forgotten how to breathe again. Lyra's glow had dimmed to a faint silver halo. Ryan's uniform hung in scorched tatters. He glanced up at the sun breaking through the Vale's haze, golden, foreign, impossibly warm. Feels like a hangover, he muttered. She tilted her head, studying him. What's a hangover? It's what happens when something too good tries to kill you from the inside. Her lips quirked, soft amusement flickering. Then yes, that fits. They stopped by the remains of a downed shuttle. Half buried, its wings twisted like broken promises. Ryan pried open a hatch, scanning the wreckage. Survivable tech. Maybe we can call for help. Help brings hunters, Lyra warned. The Empire won't stop. The Vale cut their link, but not their obsession. He looked up at her, dirt streaking his jaw, eyes bright. Then we don't call for help. We call for allies. Humans? Some of us still remember what freedom means. She watched him with a strange, tender wariness. You speak as if your species owns rebellion. Not owns, he said, but we made it into art. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was alive. The bond between them hummed gently now, no longer sharp or invasive, but something like breath shared across distance. Lyra knelt beside a broken panel, her fingers tracing the circuitry. Sparks danced under her touch. The veil altered me. My cells are stabilizing. I could live outside storms now. Maybe forever. He crouched beside her. That's good news. She shook her head. Or terrible. The Empire designed me to burn bright and end quickly. Longevity wasn't in the plan. He caught her gaze. Then make your own plan. Her voice softened. You make everything sound simple. Simple isn't easy. A faint smit. Elle touched her mouth, fleeting but real. Humans, you live like you're daring the universe to notice. It noticed, he said quietly. You're proof. Her eyes met his, silver deepening to storm grey. If I had met you first, before all this, you'd still have scared the hell out of me, he cut in, smiling. Maybe, she said, laughter trembling between them. Maybe I would have kissed you instead of sparing you. He blinked. That was an option? It was always an option. Before he could reply, the bond flared, not from emotion this time, but warning. Lyra stiffened, looking toward the horizon. They found the breach! Ryan followed her gaze. A shadow was rising, the Empire's fleet reassembling beyond the Vale's shimmer, weapons primed. Thought we cut the link, he said. We did, but I left something behind, a trace. Her voice cracked. They can follow my signature. Then we move, he said instantly. There's cover north, maybe a ridge. No, Rian, you don't understand. They're tracking through the bond. Through you. He froze. Then break it. She hesitated, horror flickering. If I sever it, you'll... I know. He stepped closer, hands steady despite the quake beneath the words. You said it yourself. We improvise. Her throat tightened. You're not a soldier anymore. You don't have to die for a cause. I'm not dying for a cause, he said softly. I'm living for a choice. She stared at him, really stared, as though she could memorize the shape of every breath he took. You foolish, stubborn... Human, he offered. Her voice broke into a whisper. Beautiful. Then she pressed her palm to his chest, light flooding between them. The bond reacted instantly, pulling energy from both. Pain seared through him, but behind it came a strange peace, like falling upward. Lyra's tears shone like quicksilver. You'll forget me when this is done. He smiled through the ache. Not a chance. A blinding surge ripped through the air, the bond detonating into pure light. The horizon fractured, swallowing the incoming fleet in white silence. When the brilliance faded, Lyra lay collapsed beside him, her body flickering with faint pulses of energy. The sky was clear again, empty, safe. Rian crawled to her, shaking. Lyra, She opened her eyes weakly. "It worked. They can't follow now." "You did it. We did it," she wanted to say, but her lips barely moved. "You'll live." He grabbed her hand, desperate. "So will you." Her glow dimmed further, voice fading. "Promise me one thing. Anything. Don't let them make you forget why you fight." "I won't." Her fingers trembled against his, and then... quiet. The light within her went out, leaving only the faint warmth of skin cooling against his palm. Ryan held her, surrounded by silence that felt too big, too final. The veil shimmered faintly in the distance, alive, watching. He looked toward it, whispering, "You said it decides who crosses. Then take me too." The wind stirred, gentle, almost kind. A soft hum answered from the bond mark on his wrist. Not gone, but sleeping. She wasn't lost, just waiting. The quiet stretched long enough for him to start believing in ghosts. The air smelled of ozone and salt, the aftertaste of thunder. He sat beside Lyra's still form, her skin pale as starlight, the bond mark on her wrist faint but flickering. Ryan wiped the dust from his face and spoke to the silence. "You can stop pretending you're dead now." Nothing. He laughed once, hoarse. "You always liked dramatic exits." Still nothing, only the hum of the veil in the distance, a heartbeat that wasn't his. He stood slowly, every muscle screaming. His body ached from radiation burns and the raw pull of the bond's detonation, but pain was a luxury. Grief was the real wound. He looked at her one last time. "You said the veil listens, so listen to me now." The sky above rippled, faint, like a breath caught between worlds. He took it as invitation. He walked toward the shimmering horizon, each step sinking into the half-solid ground, until the air began to vibrate again, warm and cold all at once. "I didn't sign that contract for ownership," he said. "I signed it because I couldn't stand to watch another soul be sold." The veil pulsed faintly, like it understood. "You took her," he whispered. "But you also changed her. So tell me, Storm, what does it take to bring her back?" The light thickened, forming shapes, fragments of Lyra's voice echoing through the static. "We don't die, Rian. We transform." He closed his eyes. "Then transform me too." Wind hit him like a wall. The world dissolved into pure light. No body, no bone, just the endless hum of energy and memory. In the heart of that brilliance he saw her, not flesh and blood now, but motion and song, the storm-given consciousness. Lyra's voice filled him everywhere at once. "You shouldn't have followed me." "You knew I would. You can't exist here. Neither could you, until you did." The storm around him trembled, as if caught between laughter and grief. "You think you can love something like me?" "I already do," he said simply. The lightning slowed, dimmed. The vast white turned to grey, then silver. From it a shape coalesced, her face first, then her hands, her heart glowing through translucent skin. "You're impossible." "Human," he said again, smiling faintly. "It's what we do." She touched his chest, light through matter, and the bond mark flared on both of them, synchronizing again. The veil itself responded, collapsing inward, wrapping them in concentric rings of light. "This isn't resurrection," she warned. "It's fusion." He didn't hesitate. "Then we share the storm." Energy surged. Not violent this time, but alive, like inhaling sunrise. Their memories bled together. There, her first awakening in an Empire lab, his first kill under false orders, the day they met beneath the auction's cruel glow. Every scar, every laugh, every choice. When the light faded, they were kneeling in the dust again. One heartbeat, two voices. Her eyes were still silver, but now they reflected the gold from his. The mark on their wrists had merged into a single symbol, half storm, half flame. Lyra exhaled shakily. "We're not separate anymore." He smiled. "Guess that means we share everything." She blinked, feeling the rhythm of his pulse echo inside her ribs. Even the foolishness. Especially that. A tremor rolled through the sky. The veil behind them shuddered, then went dark, sealing itself final and silent. Lyra looked back at it, awe softening her voice. "It's gone." "Good," Ryan said. "Let it sleep. We've got a world to wake up." She tilted her head. "You'd still fight for a world that enslaved you?" He looked toward the distant horizon where dawn was beginning to push through the ash. "Not for what it is, for what it could be, for what we can make it."
Her hand slipped into his, instinct more than thought. Then we start with survival. He chuckled. My favorite strategy. For a long moment they stood together in the wind, the silence around them alive with possibility. The storm was gone, but something greater had taken its place, a hum beneath existence itself, the fusion of two impossible lives. Lyra closed her eyes, voice soft as the memory of thunder. If humanity made rebellion into art, then you've just made love into resistance. He leaned closer, smiling against her breath. Say that again. Slowly. Her laughter rippled through the air, half sound, half lightning. Behind them the horizon began to move, faint shapes stirring beneath the clouds, colonies rebuilding, satellites reactivating. The world was waking, and something new was being born inside it. Not empire, not rebellion, but evolution. Lyra glanced at him. If they come for us again... They will, he said. Then we... At? He squeezed her hand. Then we remind them what happens when a storm falls in love with a human. For the first time since the auction, she smiled without sorrow. And what happens? He grinned. History gets rewritten. The wind carried their laughter into the quiet dawn, where even the veil itself seemed to listen and approve. Weeks later, the veil was just a rumor. Pilots skirted its coordinates whispering about the ghost field, where machines went silent and voices sang through static. No one dared cross it. No one realized two beings had already rewritten its laws and walked free. Lyra sat on the hull of their stolen skimmer, hair catching the newborn sun. Her skin shimmered faintly, no longer stormlight or weapon, just alive. Ryan climbed up beside her with 2 cups of something steaming, strong enough to wake the dead. She eyed the drink suspiciously. You humans and your rituals. If it smells this violent, why ingest it? He grinned. Because suffering makes us appreciate being alive. Typical logic. She sipped, coughed, then laughed. It tastes like burnt courage. Exactly, he said, watching her smile with quiet satisfaction. The wind pushed gently over the plains where the storm once ruled. In the distance, the sky shimmered with faint auroras, energy from the veil dissipating harmlessly. For the first time in centuries, this planet slept without fear. Lyra set her cup down, gaze drifting upward. They'll come again. Empires never stop. They just reinvent control. Then we reinvent rebellion, Ryan said, leaning back on his hands. She turned toward him, studying the human lines of his face, the scars that mapped his history. You're not afraid? I am. That's why I fight better. Her fingers brushed his wrist, tracing the merged mark that pulsed softly under both their skins. This bond still hums when you lie. He caught her hand. Then it's a good thing I'm telling the truth. The air between them thickened. Not storm, but something heavier, sweeter. The shared heartbeat of beings who had seen each other's worst and still reached closer. Lyra's voice softened. We've changed the code of 2 species, Ryan. What if the universe can't contain what we've become? Then the universe will just have to catch up. She laughed quietly. Humans. You make everything sound easy. It's not easy, he said, leaning closer. It's inevitable. The wind surged around them, as though the world agreed. Her smile faded into something fierce, tender, infinite. You know, if you ever tell anyone I died and came back for you, he interrupted, eyes glinting, I'll tell them I met a god and made her laugh. Her pulse skipped. You blinked. I win, he said softly. Their foreheads met, and for a moment silence expanded between heartbeats. The merged bond glowed gold-white, sending a pulse into the horizon. Across the newly calm atmosphere, sensors in distant outposts picked up a signal. Unclassified energy signature, human and unknown hybrid, synchronized. The universe shivered. Somewhere far above, on an Imperial dreadnought still limping back from its failed chase, a technician stared at the data in disbelief. Sir, he whispered, the target's gone quantum. We can't separate them. Admiral Kale's surviving echo, a digital ghost uploaded before the blast, watched through fractured screens. Then they've become what the Empire feared most, he said quietly. Proof that chaos breeds creation. The feed crackled out. Back on the surface, Lyra's voice carried over the wind. You feel that? Yeah, Ryan murmured.
Something's shifting. The veil? No. He looked at her, smiling faintly. Us. She tilted her head. Then we'd better choose what kind of storm we'll be. He raised his cup. To storms worth surviving. She clinked hers against his, eyes gleaming. And to humans reckless enough to fall in love with them, thus.
They drank as the light spread across the horizon, twin silhouettes carved against a dawn that no longer belonged to the Empire or the storm, but to something entirely new. The merged bond flared once more, sending a ripple through the ionosphere, a signal written in both pulse and code. Across galaxies deep in human space, receivers blinked awake with a single message, Stormborn. And somewhere, in the quiet spaces between stars, the universe whispered back, amused and curious. What will humanity love next? If you've ever risked everything for desire, drop. Because this isn't the end. It's just the calm before the next storm.